So hello everyone, today I'm going to look at the humble toothpick to use for nail art. So I've seen toothpicks used to make nail art before, but I really wanted to come up with my own designs and see exactly what I could do using the toothpick and how easy it was to use as well. So I'm currently painting a kind of orange-pink base on my nails, and later I use a kind of turquoise colour to put the designs in over the top. I picked these colours because orange and blue are kind of opposite on the colour wheel, and therefore the colours will stand out the most. And also please excuse how my cuticles look. I've been a bit nervous and I've been picking them lately. So anyway, I'm going to paint the last two nails now and then let them dry, and then I can start putting the designs on the top. So I'm going to use this polish. I think it's really quite a good one. It's quite opaque, and I thought it would be really quite suited to trying to make some designs with them. So first up, what I decided to do was what I'm going to call a seaweed pattern, as it looks a tiny bit like bladderwrack. So I started with kind of stamping a dot of nail polish into my nail, trying to make sure that I'm getting little circular dots as opposed to oval ones by making sure I angle the brush at 90 degrees or perpendicular to my nail, and also accounting for the curve of my nail. I used a relatively dry brush for this as to not have the nail polish seep too much. So now I'm going to try and use the toothpick and drag it through the dots in order to make a little pattern. And actually, as a bit of a tip, try to drag the toothpick diagonally instead of straight like how I'm doing it here. As I go back over this in just a moment and in doing that I feel it turned out a bit better. So for the next nail, I'm basing it on feathered icing, like on top of cakes. So I started with painting one half of my nail in one colour and the other half in another colour. So while both nail polishes were still wet, I was able to take the toothpick and drag it back and forth through both of the nail polishes. It didn't come out nearly as neat as I thought it was going to be, and I went over it quite a few times and it still looked a bit messy in my opinion. However, this could just be that the two nail polishes were of a different consistency, or that one had dried a bit more than the other, but nonetheless I didn't really like the way it turned out, but from far away it still looked pretty good. For my third nail, I was aiming for a kind of flower, so I started with putting a large roll of nail polish into the centre of this nail, and then using a toothpick to drag out essentially the petals of the flower. So this didn't go exactly as I planned, and the lines were a lot thinner than I expected, and it looked much more of a paint splatter, which still looked quite okay for bordering on spider. But I went back over it a little bit, where I tried to kind of fill in the corners a bit and make the shape a bit neater. So I could have left it here and called it a paint splatter, but I decided that I wanted to add a bit more of the orange and see what effect that would have. But actually the nail polish had dried quite a bit by the time I decided to put new wet polish on top of the kind of semi-dry polish. So when I came to drag it, it didn't drag very well. Also the polishes mixed quite a bit, making a purple. I quite liked it, but maybe that's not what everyone would want. So I continued to try and make the little spider web pattern. So for the last nail, I was going for something a little bit like Safia Nygaard's wedding nails, where it had a little classy little triangle at the cuticle. However, it didn't go exactly as planned, as you will see, but nonetheless I started with applying some nail polish at the nail bed and trying to neaten up the edges using the toothpick, as well as making the point for the triangle. However, the nail polishes just mixed a bit, maybe the red wasn't completely dry. But anyway, I couldn't get the crisp, clean lines that I was looking for, and eventually I decided that it just was not going to work, and I took off the nail polish. Right, so I'm going to try again. I started with putting some more of the nail polish back onto the nail, and then essentially trying a very similar method but hoping it would work. However, both the nail polishes were wet. It was a disaster waiting to happen. So I could see that it really wasn't going to work. So I changed my mind and decided to make a marbled pattern, particularly as both the nail polishes were wet. So I dotted randomly spots of both the coloured nail polishes onto my nail, and then used a toothpick to swirl a pattern into it. It was so satisfying to watch until the hair. So I actually really liked the way the marbling turned out. However, I did want to give the triangle at one end of my nail a go again, and so here I am trying it on my thumb. I first decided to paint a triangle on and then neaten the edges using the toothpick. However, the point of the triangle was always a bit off centre, to be honest. So I tried making the edges neater with the toothpick, however it really wasn't working. I'm not sure if it's the nail polish or the nail polish being too dry, but I decided to change my design and make a more geometric shape, where I'd already painted the triangle and I wanted to draw a line through the centre of it. However, it was also off centre and it didn't go very well. Freehand drawing on nails is not for everyone, myself included, but I did try to make it straight and neat, but I wasn't happy with it at all and decided that I was going to paint over it yet again. So, in conclusion, the toothpick isn't great for every design. We're not going to talk about the thumb, but in other instances, like the marbling on my index finger, I thought turned out really well. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I do make other nail tutorials if you're interested. Anyway, stay safe and thanks again for watching. Bye.